Our countdown to first pitch in baseball in the Great American Conference begins today, and our stop is Bethany. We get to visit with Grant Ledbetter, the head baseball coach of the Southern Nazarene Crimson Storm in his second season. Coach, thank you so much for taking some time visiting with me today about baseball, about which we are also very excited to get to talk and hopefully have a good, strong season this year. The Crimson Storm last year in your first season, which again cut short, abruptly short due to all of the events of last March. But even in that 6-11, one of the things that stood out to me, though, about the season as it was, and I want to know if you take anything from it, how it carries over, if it does at all. It seemed to me to be feast or famine for the ball club last season. You know, in the wins, you were able to hold your opponents most of the time, really kept them in check, low run total. In the losses, double-digit run total. I mean, it was one or the other, very, very few close games. What do you take from that from last season, and is it something that you see already or you've already gotten past?
Well, thanks for having me on here. I appreciate it. Just to address that, I think the main thing, and we kind of knew going into it, we weren't certain how it would look realistically, but from a pitching staff standpoint, we just got to a point during most series where at some point our bullpen started to wear. We didn't have a whole lot of depth there, and so we knew that was going to be something we had to address. That was something that Coach Yost and I were a little behind on when we came in and took the position recruiting-wise, but we feel like we've taken some good steps over this past offseason and addressing the bullpen. That's definitely going to give us a good opportunity to be more competitive and start rattling off more wins this year. So,
Coach, you have a lot of seniors, a lot of upperclassmen on the roster, and I do want you to get to talk about that. You bring back two of the top, as a matter of fact, at the top two of the order then from a statistical standpoint of your bats last season. Clay Lockett comes back as a senior, as well as Brian Brown, and both of them were hitting better than 300 for you last year. Talk about those seniors and your bats.
We have a great core group of seniors, and luckily, where COVID has really plagued a lot of teams and made recruiting difficult and figuring out scholarshiping, it's actually, we feel like, playing into our advantage. Several of those guys, Lockett and some others, Tristan Graves, have decided that they're gonna utilize that extra year. So we feel like we definitely have an opportunity to build around that core group of leadership with those guys. Clay had an awesome year. So did Brian. You know, another name, Eric Gutierrez. He's one of our best leaders. He was cut short, even more a few weeks short last year due to an injury, and he's back and he's strong this year. So we feel great about those guys, along with some of the offense that we have coming in. We feel like we definitely have an opportunity to have one of the top offenses in the conference.
Speaking now with Coach Grant Ledbetter from Southern Nazarene, his team picked 12th according to the coaches poll in the Great American Conference in 2021. And, of course, all the preseason polls, I'm sure, as always, it's just one of those things indicative of last year. The players get a chance to come out and do what they can this season. You mentioned Tristan Graves. Let's talk about him then, a part of that pitching staff that you've already addressed as, some adjustments made coming into this year. Talk about your pitching staff.
Yeah, Tristan just kind of came out of nowhere. He had been a part of the team prior to last year, but just kind of our vision for him and his role changed tremendously, and he did a good job preparing in the offseason, getting stronger, working on locating. And besides that, he's just an incredible leader. Everybody likes him, really likable guy, easy to follow. So we have him coming back. We've also done a good job, we feel like, recruiting. We have another left-handed arm. He was the top arm at Redlands last year. His name is Patrick Hine. He's coming to us. He has 3 years of eligibility left if he wants it. Obviously he's left-handed, but we feel like he's a Greg Maddox style pitcher, just can command it however he wants to. And also Brett Rexroad, who had some struggles, had some growing pains adjusting from the level he was at, but really gave us 3 or 4 really solid innings last year. And he's put in the time in the weight room and really done some things to help himself this offseason. So we think he's going to have a big year.
Coach, I mentioned a number of upperclassmen, and anyone who wants to look at the Southern Nazarene website, I mean, the list of seniors and juniors is just really long. But, Coach, even as you mentioned, players are going to take advantage of that. So you're going to be full of upperclassmen for the foreseeable future, it looks
We
like.
are. We are.
As you mentioned, the team looks to be able to produce offensively this year. As you see this team going into 2021, what do you see as a hallmark of it? The offense or maybe just something overall?
I think offense, if you break it down, offense, pitching, defense, I think offense is definitely what we have to build around for sure. There's a few names we haven't mentioned. We've got some transfers coming in. We have a transfer from Midwest City. His name is E.J. Taylor. We feel like he's going to be huge in the middle of our lineup for us right now. But the biggest thing is just the culture that we feel like we're building. Last year, we had some growing pains, even with our upperclassmen, just establishing the culture we want, what our expectations are. But we feel like everybody who wants to embrace that and who's going to embrace it has come back. And this year we can just kind of put our noses down and get to work. So.
All right. Well, the Crimson Storm, according to the preseason poll, picked 12th in the Great American Conference this season. Coach Grant Ledbetter, thank you very much for taking time with us, talking a little baseball here in the GAC as we count down to first pitch.
Yes, sir. Thank you. It's a pleasure.